So NASCAR had its annual State of the Sport address. They have it every single year, and honestly, it's just more or less corporatese. And most years I wouldn't really speak on it, especially if I have my voice sounding this bad, so bear with my sick voice. But there were, I think, a lot of big points covered that a lot of fans want to talk about. And after the week we've had, I do think that it's actually paramount for people to comment on what NASCAR said. So I got 5 of the biggest points, and we're going to kind of dive into it. And I just want to know kind of where everyone lies on this. First off, this one I am not shocked with at all. Steve Phelps has done this to start every single one of his State of the Sport addresses, is he doubled down on the playoffs. And yeah, of course they're going to do that. They're not going to say, man, our system sucks, but hey, get excited for the championship. No, that's not how this is going to work. Whether the system is the way it is now or just tweaked, that's up for question. They said that, but I really have no confidence whatsoever they're going to change anything. They're not going to blame the system. They have not blamed the system for 20 years. Wherever you stand on the system is not going to be swayed by anything they say either way. But I figured we'd just address that big elephant in the room right off the bat. Also, they said, and this was from Steve O'Donnell, that they don't think they have an officiating problem. And said, well, look at every other sport. There's not a single sport that doesn't have questioning in some way of their officiating. And yeah, that is a truthful statement, but I don't think the statement of there being no problem is true whatsoever. And I think it's not really because, oh, there's some bad calls here and there, like the Kyle Busch tire incident at Martinsville, but more when you compare to how NASCAR was, say, 5 or 10 years ago. They did not have as many dumb blunders. And I think that's where fans are getting the most upset with, is the fact that we have these constant bad calls or just really slow calls, and we didn't have that before. And we're seeing what I think, will see as excuses being made for it. And I am completely on the other end of Steve O'Donnell on this. You do have an officiating problem. And denying it or saying that you're really just going to fix it the way that anybody else would, well, that's not going to help whatsoever. They also confirmed Xfinity back for 2025. Yeah, I kind of figured we weren't going to get too much past 25. It was already put in news that it would probably be back for 1 year. The question is 2026 and beyond. Is it going to be Xfinity? Is Busch going to come back? Is it just going to be someone new? Are they just going to call it whatever, a generic name like the NASCAR Cup Series, and have multiple sponsors on it? That might be something in the future, but they're not going to comment on it now. And then there was the OEM news. I think this one is the one that will fly under the radar from the more kind of inflammatory comments people will have about this. But this is a big one. They, quote, say they're still close and cautiously optimistic. They say a goal of 5 OEMs overall. And then they sort of shoehorn in, it's 5 years away, or it's a couple years away, or whatever. To me, nothing's changed. Nothing has changed at all. I think this is just sort of putting the carrot down the road. Do I think they're talking to multiple OEMs? Yes. I think NASCAR is. I think you wouldn't see the changes they've made with the next gen over the last 3-4 years if they weren't talking with an OEM. I think they would just work with what they had. But yeah, I don't see really any change whatsoever. And another change that I don't see happening in the near future is them commenting on the charter disagreement. They said that, well, they're not going to comment. And as soon as they said that, it was announced that the 2311 front row injunction was denied. And of course that they can probably appeal that and they can push it a little further. But all in all, this is where I'm kind of at with it. I have no change whatsoever. And I think right now I'm not alone in saying that in my time as a fan, I am at my all-time lowest in my confidence with NASCAR leadership. And this is not me saying, oh, bring Brian France back. This is not me saying that, oh, NASCAR was better with leadership in the good old days. I think this is having basically all of your problems converge, kicking the can down the road, and now you've dealt your hand. You're stuck with what you've made, whether it be on the racetrack, whether it be the business side per se, whether it be where fans are and constantly ignoring them. You've reached this level now where you're pretty much stuck in the bed you've made and you have to lie in it. And for me, I'm going to say it right now. My confidence is so low in NASCAR leadership that even their corporatees, I don't believe that they actually mean. I actually do think that some of the people in charge of NASCAR probably want to change stuff, but they have dug a hole so deep for so long that the only way that I think any of them at this point think they can get out of it is by digging the hole further. And I don't think that these people are in charge. I don't think it's the Steves that are in charge whatsoever. I think it's the OEMs, as it I think has always been in some way, but I think they have more power now that NASCAR's at a lower state. I think that it's the TV networks. I think NASCAR sold their soul to the devil, per se, with the TV networks and the providers and all of that. And now they are the ones fully in charge of all things, them and the OEMs. And with this, it kind of, I don't think makes me mad. I think it's just more infuriating. I guess maybe not infuriating, but it's just more difficult as a fan to reconcile what they do. And to me, the State of the Sport address, this could be a huge opportunity, a huge one, to bring people back, to get people back on your side if you're NASCAR. But instead, it is constantly a double down after double down after double down. And it's just sad because if they went out, they don't have to rail against the playoffs. They don't have to throw their officials under the bus. They don't have to just push different news stories down about like Xfinity coming back or about sponsors or about TV money. They don't have to necessarily say there's no hope for a new OEM, or they don't have to go out there and basically bash the teams against them. But there can be other ways to navigate this, to show, yes, it's a difficult time. We understand that. And we can still move forward. And we hear you. We understand you're upset. Some things that we just won't be able to change. Things like that. I don't think all NASCAR fans would understand. I think in the sense that they would still be upset with it and disagree and be very vocal with it, as they should be. But I think there's better ways that the Steves could have handled this. I think Jim France going up there and actually being an active part of the face of this sport from the leadership side, I think that that would have went a whole lot further, even if he said the same stuff. Because at least then you know that there's someone big there who's answering those questions, who's being accountable. And we just don't get that. And it just feels like the same path leading to the same place that we all knew it would. Now, I want to ask you to finish this all off. Are you more, less, or the same amount of confident in NASCAR leadership and NASCAR itself after hearing all of this? After, if you watched it, watching the State of the Sport address? Or at this point, are you just kind of checked out with it? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your support. It means a ton. And be sure tonight to check into the truck post-race stream. Hopefully my voice will be a little bit better. I feel like it's better than it was. It feels better, but hopefully it will be. So until then, have a good one. See you tonight. And hopefully it's a good weekend. Bye.